Imagine, for a moment, that everything you have ever wanted already exists. Not somewhere far away, and not someday later, but right now, as a finished reality, waiting for a single signal to enter your life. And now imagine that the key to it is already in your hands, a way to call it towards you. Not brute force and not manipulation, but a fine and ancient language that, spoken in the right inner state, can remake a life without exception. That key is what we are going to speak about today. It is what I call the metaphysical prayer. I did not come to this from books alone. I came the long way, through years of asking into what felt like silence, until I saw that the silence was never a refusal. It was an answer to the state I was asking from. It is not a plea, or a desperate whisper into the void, or a lucky string of the right phrases. It is a conscious act of creation, an ancient spiritual technology that is as precise as it is sacred. It is a word spoken in full agreement of intention, feeling, and thought, and used as an instrument of pure creation. I will say it plainly. If you have ever prayed, asked, or affirmed and nothing changed, this is for you. A little further in the first part, I will give you the exact shape of the metaphysical prayer and show you the precise place where most people cut their own manifestation off, even while speaking the right words. So here's my one request. Watch at least the first 7 to 10 minutes without skipping. And if something in you stirs, don't only listen. Take a notebook and write down the phrases that raise the hair on your arms. Those will become your own personal key. Now, back to the heart of it. Teachers of every age spoke of this power, each in his own tongue, and it always came down to one thing. What you ask for from a state of inner wholeness comes to pass without exception, because the point was never the words on your lips. Reality answers not the words on your lips. It answers the state they rise from. Not the sentence "I believe," but what actually sounds underneath it: fear, doubt, trust, or certainty. This is why one man prays for years and sees no fruit, while another seems merely to speak, and everything begins to move. The trouble is not the prayer. The trouble is the state it is spoken from. A word without power is like an arrow with no drawn bowstring. The shape is there, but nothing flies and nothing pierces. So this is no mere inspiring talk. It is a look at the mechanism. We will take the prayer apart in layers, break the myths, look at its unseen geometry, and see why a word spoken from an already accomplished state can change any outer scene. Not as a trick, but because that is how the laws of being are built. And most of all, we will walk the concrete steps, so your prayer stops being a cry into emptiness and becomes a seed that cannot help but grow. Because we are not here to beg some distant God to change our fate. We are here to remember the kingdom within. And the one who prays from the kingdom does not ask, he declares. For thousands of years, prayer was a bridge between the human and the divine. But before it became a ritual, it was pure vibration. Before it hardened into a memorized text, it was intention. And long before the religions gave it form, prayer was the secret instrument of the initiated, an exact spiritual science. In the ancient mystery schools of Egypt, of Greece, of India, they taught that the universe was created through sound. Literally. The logos, the creating word, was not a pretty image, but a living force. A spoken word is a vibration that gives form to chaos. In the Papyrus of Ani, the gods make the cosmos by speaking the secret names of things. Each name is a vibrational formula. To name is to set into being. Scripture carries the same knowing. In the beginning was the Word. In the book of Genesis, it does not say that God thought about the light or felt the light. It says that God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. That word "said" is the whole of it. What is spoken from the center of being takes on form. With time, this knowledge broke apart. Prayer turned into a request, a mechanical retelling of texts, an act of blind belief stripped of any inner work. What was spiritual alchemy became routine. What was the art of creation turned into fear dressed up as piety. And the word itself remembers the fall. Prayer comes from the Latin precari, to beg, to entreat. We took an act of creation and shrank it to a plea. What I will show you is the way back from Precari to the voice that says, "Let there be." Man began to reach for a God outside himself and forgot that the creating source lives within him. And then it began to return. Those who carried it back all said, in the end, one and the same thing. True prayer does not beg. It affirms what already is. You pray not to get something, but to bring your own vibration into resonance with what already exists on the unseen level. This is what is meant by praying from the end. Not from poverty, but from completion. Your word is your magic. But not every phrase works, only the one spoken in full agreement of thought, feeling, and word. So what makes a prayer metaphysical? What sets it apart from the ordinary, "Lord, give me"? Above all, the level of consciousness. Its power is in the precision of its vibration. Its aim is not to wring the wanted thing from some outer power, but to confirm a spiritual truth above the visible picture, to remind yourself of the soul's truth over the illusion of matter. It is not "I believe" said blindly. It is faith as a state, resting on direct sensation. You and the divine are not divided. You are not knocking at a locked heavenly door. You are opening what is already within. And there the real magic begins. To see how it works, look at 3 pillars: thought, feeling, and word. Each has power alone, but the thing you seek is born only where all 3 fully coincide. The first is thought, the sacred seed. Everything begins with a thought, not a stray wandering image, but a precise intention, born not of fear but of the soul's deep desire. In the metaphysical prayer, to think is to sow. You place the image not merely in your head, but into your field. This is not see it to believe it. It is see it within to create it without. If the thought is poisoned with doubt, the seed takes no root. If underneath it sounds unlikely, the field reads exactly that. The thought must be clear as a beam aimed at a single point, or the energy scatters. The image you hold with trust is the very key to wonders. The second is feeling, the water that wakes the seed. A thought without feeling is a dry diagram. The seed is there, but flung onto stone. The metaphysical prayer asks you to feel the thing you affirm as already real. Not someday it will be, but already here in your field. And here, almost everyone stumbles. A man paints the wanted thing in his mind, but his heart sits in, "I don't have it." The mind says, "I am rich," and the body vibrates, "There's not enough." The mind says, "I am loved," and the inner voice says, "I'll be left again." That is vibrational discord. In that inner conflict, there is nothing for the wanted thing to appear from. Of the 3, this is the one that undid me the longest. I could hold a thought like a blade, clear and bright and aimed, while underneath, my body kept rehearsing lack. If you have ever spoken the right words and felt your chest tighten against them, you know exactly what I mean. Want to draw love? Let yourself feel love now. Want abundance? Feel that you are already held, already carried, and never abandoned. Feeling is the water. It is unseen, but it is what brings the seed to life. The third is the word, the creating command. And at last, the word, the moment you voice your decision, aloud or within. Here the unseen begins to grow dense. In the metaphysical prayer, the word does not describe how bad things are. It declares how they truly are on a higher level. The same principle holds, and God said, "Let there be light." He did not try to believe in light. He spoke his will. The word is a vibrational act, and it moves the field, which is why it is useless to repeat, "All is well with me," 1,000 times if your whole system is screaming, "I'm in a panic." The word does not work as an outer spell. It works as a seal, set down by an aligned state. When a clear thought, a lived feeling, and a word spoken from inner ground all coincide, a rare purity arises, and the universe cannot fail to hear it. This is the symphony the ancients spoke of. In that moment, you are no longer asking. You are speaking from what has already come to pass, and the field answers not please, but the one who has become. The metaphysical prayer does not concern itself with how it will happen, or when exactly, or why it is taking so long. It holds only one thing. This has already come to pass on the unseen level. When you pray from the end, the thing you desire has already begun to enter the process of becoming. The whole difference from an ordinary request is the inner stance. The ordinary prayer says, "Give me what I don't have, fill my emptiness." The metaphysical one says, "Within me everything already is, and I choose to join with that level of reality." This is at once enormously powerful and enormously hard for the ego, because it asks you to let go of the familiar image of yourself, the suffering one, the needy one, the one cut off. And to a mind grown used to the role of victim, that feels like a death. Say you want a new reality, a different income, a different love, a different health. The ordinary way calls out, "Let it come to me." The metaphysical way says, "Become the one who already lives in it. Speak as he speaks, feel as he feels, and think and act as if this were already your norm." That is real prayer, to embody the wanted state before it shows in the outer world. And the paradox runs deep. The new cannot enter while you cling to the old self. To be born again is no vague metaphor. It is a very concrete process, to die as the one who asks and rise as the one who declares. And for that, you must empty out. Out of "something's always wrong with me," out of "I can't, I'm not worthy, this isn't for me." It isn't done with a single affirmation. It is a path of recognizing the lie, switching off the program of lack, and choosing, consciously, to live in the purity of the kingdom as a state of consciousness and not a fairy tale place. I won't pretend this part is gentle. It is the hardest thing I know of in all of it. To let the needy self die is to lose the only self you have ever been. But I have watched what rises on the other side, in others and in myself. It does not ask, it speaks. The scriptures say, "Enter your room and shut the door." That is not about brick walls. It is an inner step, to shut the door on the outer noise, the judgments, the comparisons, the collective fear. It is the moment you turn inward and align with the source. There is no audience there, and no borrowed voices. There is only you, your inner image, and the creating principle. And in that silence, something subtle but irreversible happens. You stop trying to shove reality and begin to let it rearrange itself around your new purity. This is not passivity. It is no longer "I press on the world." It is "I tune myself and the world answers." One of the most common mistakes is this: to believe that the more times I say a phrase, the harder it will work. The truth is blunt. A single phrase spoken from the right state is stronger than 1,000 flung from fear or panic. Power comes not from quantity, but from agreement. The main channel is not the mouth. It is your whole field. So before you pray, ask yourself honestly, am I speaking now as one trying to flee his own life, or as one who already stands in his realization and is simply confirming it? Am I begging something outside me, or acknowledging what already belongs to me by the right of where I come from? I still ask myself that before I speak anything that matters. Not once has the honest answer left the way I said it unchanged. When you can truly say thank you, because it is already so, instead of "please, let it happen someday," the threshold is crossed. You stop being the one who asks and become a co-creator. You need no special postures, no rooms draped in cloth, no elaborate formulas. You need a life that becomes whole, a prayer, a life lived from certainty, not waiting, from creation, not mere reaction. Reality answers not the words on your lips. It answers the state they rise from. And now you no longer plead. You speak from the place where it is already done. Let me give you 5 ways to live as a prayer. The first, pray by the way you live, not only by words. Want abundance? Look at how you live each day. Your walk, your bearing, your thoughts about money, whether they come from "there's never enough" or from "I am carried and led." Long for love? Notice how you speak to yourself, within, when no one is listening. Every repeated feeling, every inner monologue is already a prayer. Stop asking why what I request doesn't come. Start asking what I am constantly broadcasting. The second, enter your secret room daily. Find even 5 or 10 minutes a day when you turn from the outer world and step inside. Meditation, a soft visualization, conscious breath, the form matters little. One thing matters. This time is only for you and the source. That small daily rite returns you to the center, to the state where inner agreement is even possible. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Let what you have right now become your doorway. The third, treat the word as a sacred fire. Every phrase you cast into the world works like a command. Begin, consciously, to cancel the ones like, "I'll never manage," "It's always hard for me," "This isn't for me," and to replace them, not with rosy slogans, but with phrases that have inner ground. "I will find a way. I am growing through this. It is all unfolding in my favor." The word does not merely describe the picture. It lays the rails, the energy will run along. Of the 5, this is the one I would not let you skip. The others prepare the ground. This one lays the track. The fourth, shift your space toward the state you want. You cannot vibrate in clarity while you live in visual chaos. Want a new version of yourself? Let your home, your desk, your clothes, and the small details begin to reflect that version. Clear away the excess. Set right the places where you long ago decided, "This'll do." Live as though your prayer were already answered, and you are simply catching up to that reality in the outer world. The fifth, remove the inner hurry. What blocks you most is not the desire itself, but the grasping at a deadline. The state of, "I need this urgently," tells the field, "I don't believe it's already here. I am certain I'm in." Lack. If it were already your norm, you would feel a calm, "Yes, that's how it is," and not a feverish waiting. Your task is to sow, to give thanks, and to let the process move. Be like a gardener who does not dig the seed up each day to check whether it has sprouted. He knows the inner work is going on, even while, on the surface, all is still. What, then, is the deepest secret? You do not need to talk the universe into anything. You do not need to earn the miracle. You need to remember who you are and align with the part of you that was never cut off from the source. Reality answers not the words on your lips. It answers the state they rise from. Change the one who speaks, and everything that answers changes with him. At this level, we are no longer speaking of language. We are speaking of identity. The metaphysical prayer is not a set of words. It is a choice of stance, to live as a creator and not a hostage to circumstance. To stop waiting for a miracle from outside and let the miracle move through you. True prayer does not sound like, "Please, let this happen." It sounds like, "I give thanks because it is already so." Right there, in that shift of the ground you stand on, the deepest secret is hidden. The universe answers not a list of wishes, but what you have already accepted as fact within yourself. We saw how thought sets the process going, feeling brings it alive, and the word seals it. We saw how every prayer is a tuning of purity that, born of deep agreement, changes the field of the possible. The error is not in desiring. It is in desiring from fear and lack. The barrier is not the outer world, but the purity with which you speak your reality. Can you bring forth a world while you clench inside with dread? Can you draw abundance while you speak of it from terror and mistrust? A word is heard as sound, but read as vibration, and vibration is always more honest than our phrases. This asks of you the courage to live, already today, as the version of yourself you cannot yet see with your eyes but feel in your heart. To hold your certainty when the outer world shows you the opposite. That is not self-deception. It is faithfulness to the soul. And when you enter your inner sanctuary, that state of, "It is already done," you stop begging and begin to lay down the laws of your own reality. At that level, prayer truly becomes law. And yes, it all comes to pass when you pray as one who has already received. This is no trick. It is a law, ancient as the world and forgotten as deeply as our own divinity. I don't ask you to take my word for it. and I mean that plainly. I spent too many years taking other people's words to hand you one more belief to carry. I ask only that you test it, once, honestly, and let the result be your teacher. Take one true desire. Close your eyes. Feel that it has already come to pass. Speak it aloud. Give thanks and let it go. Don't clutch at timing. Don't hunt for instant proof. Do your part. Vibrate as the one for whom this is already normal. The rest will arrange itself, because when you pray from the soul, reality has no other way out but to change. And follow this all the way down, and you arrive at what the ancients only ever whispered. There is no gap between the one who speaks and what is spoken. The word does not travel outward to some distant power that weighs your worth and grants or denies. You are the field it moves through. You are the light it calls into the dark. When you speak from the center of your being, you are not petitioning creation from the outside. You are creation, remembering its own voice. Reality is not a thing set against you, to be argued with or begged. It is the outer face of what you are within, and nothing holds out for long against its own foundation. This is why a true word asks no permission and waits on no one. It does not plead to become. It simply becomes the way light did when the first word was spoken over the deep. Remember where we began, that everything you long for already exists, waiting, and that the key to it is a word spoken from the right inner state. This is the moment you speak it, not to beg, but to name. So now it comes to you. Write your word in the comments, not a wish, but a decree. One true desire, spoken is already yours, in the language of the accomplished. I give thanks, because this is already so. Say it not from lack, but from completion. When you set it down in words, in the open, it stops being a distant hope and becomes a seal. That is the first stone of your new reality, laid today. Speak it, and live as the one for whom it is already done.